Hello, good morning, and welcome to the Unacademy IAS, a one-stop destination for all the English medium civil services aspirants. Welcome to another session of the Hindu News Analysis dated 8th of August 2024. Now, let's have a look at what are the important articles that I've chosen from the international edition of the Hindu to be discussed in today's video. First, a very important article which has created a lot of discussion in the last 1.5 days. Vinesh Phoghat disqualification in the Olympics. Let's understand what is the issue all about. And while I'm discussing this disqualification issue, I'll also discuss one more very important issue regarding the boxing that has taken place in the last 1 week. Second, very important article, what is the yen carry trade? In international edition today's paper, there is a very big article which has been provided regarding the concept of yen carry trade. What is the idea? Let's try and understand. Third article, government to introduce amendments to Waqf Act. Right, this bill is supposed to be introduced today in the parliament. Yesterday, a note has been circulated, a document has been circulated in the parliament. Let's look at certain important changes that have been proposed by the government. Fourth, GST on insurance. Yesterday's Hindu newspaper article, there was an article where the opposition parties, that is the members belonging to opposition parties, are holding a placard and they are opposing GST on insurance. Many of the students or many of the learners sent a mail to me asking the importance of that article. And in today's newspaper also, there is a small discussion regarding GST on insurance. Let's try and understand the issue in detail. Fifth article, Supreme Court has posted the PMLA judgment review on the 28th of August. There were two articles regarding PMLA today. Let's try and understand those. NSC files a fresh plea to settle TAP case. 7th, Rashtriya Vigyan Puraskar. And the 8th, I'll give you certain updates regarding what is happening in Bangladesh. So these are the list of the articles. Before I start the discussion, listen to a very important announcement. We at Unacademy will be conducting on 11th August the Unacademy Civil Services Championship. If any of you are interested, please do attend this particular test. It is at 2 times, that is 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. And if you score very high number of marks, you will not only get a chance to earn lot of gifts from us, you can also get up to 90% reduction in the form of a scholarship. That is a reduction in the form of fees. So if you are interested, please do register for this particular test. The link is provided in the description below. Now let me start with the discussion. The first very important article, the possibilities, or let's say the dreams of one of the India's, let's say the wrestler to earn a medal in the ongoing Olympics has been shattered. I'm talking about Vinesh Phoghat, who was scheduled to have a bout now, and it was guaranteed that she would be winning a medal in the ongoing Olympics. Now what has happened? What is the issue? What are the important concepts you need to understand? Listen to me very carefully. In case of contact sports, that is such as let's say wrestling, or for that matter boxing, etc. In Olympic games, or for that matter generally the games which are conducted, these are divided based on weight categories. For example, in case of the ongoing Olympics, in boxing, the categories, in case of wrestling, the categories which have been divided are basically 51 kgs, 57 kgs, 63 kgs, for men, and 50 kgs, 54 kgs, etc. for women. Essentially, if you want to compete, you will have to be within this particular weight itself. If you cross this particular weight, you will not be allowed to compete. And if you are already in that particular competition, and if you do not get your weight tested, I'll come to the weight testing in a minute. If you do not get your weight tested or checked, you will be disqualified and no ranking will be provided and you will be the last in that particular competition. Now what has happened here? Vinesh Phoghat was registered or enrolled into the 50 kg weight category. 50 kg weight category. And on Tuesday, when the competition started for basically the wrestling, the competition started, and understand this carefully, unlike earlier system, in case of wrestling, the competition will take place on 2 days. I'll repeat, unlike earlier situation. What is the earlier situation? Before 2016, that is before the 2016 Rio Games, the competition used to happen on a single day. That is, in the single day, all the competitions will be over, all the bouts will be over, and on the same day itself, we will be able to come to know who is the, let's say the first, who is the second, who is the winner of the gold medal, etc. But after 2016 games, the rules were changed. And I'll come to the reason why the rules were changed as well. After 2016 Rio Games, the rules were changed. Instead of having the complete competition on single day, now this was divided into 2 days. The competition was basically divided into 2 days. Some of the, let's say games will be conducted on the first day, and the finals, basically who will get the gold medal, silver, bronze, etc., that will be known on the second day after the games, after the bouts. Now the reason that was provided by International Olympics Committee was, when we did this only for 1 day, we have seen many athletes going for drastic weight reduction. This is the argument provided. They have seen that many of these athletes have undertaken drastic weight reduction within span of day itself, that is only on that particular day when the competition is supposed to be held. Before that, the athletes starve themselves, undergo a lot of rigorous training, and just to meet the criteria of a weight, they will undergo very high weight reduction. And the Olympics Association says this is very dangerous. In short term, that is to win the medals, you will reduce the weight. But you please look at the long duration, that is a long term. After 20 to 30 years, you will realize the impact of such a severe drop in the weight. And this is a very common phenomenon, very common thing, by the way, in the Olympics. And that is exactly what is being discussed in the context of Vinesh Phoghat as well. And just couple of days prior, there was one more, let's say the sports person, same in case of the Olympics itself, who was disqualified because this particular Olympian was not able to meet the weight category. That is, when the weighing is done, she was not able to meet that particular weight category itself. So now the argument of Olympics Association was, we want to reduce this kind of a practice. Rather than conducting the competition only on 1 day, we will split it into 2 days, and on both the days, I repeat, on both the days, the weight of the weight of these people will have to be checked. On both of the days, the weight has to be checked. Now some of you will ask me, sir, what if I don't go for a check-in of the weight on the second day? The rules basically say, if you do not get your weight checked on both the days, if you are involved in the competition, if you do not get your weight checked on both the days, you will be disqualified. You will simply be disqualified. And in this case, what has happened is, on Tuesday, she was able to meet the weight category. She was able to meet the, let's say the weight category 50 kgs. During the Tuesday's competition, it is said she has consumed, normal again, she has eaten the food. Generally, whatever they eat during the competition, she has consumed the food. And by the time the competition got over, the games got over on Tuesday, the weight has increased to around 52 kgs. And it is stated that because the weight had increased to more than 52 kgs throughout the night, the staff, the supporting staff, the sports person, they were not able to sleep. Throughout the night, they have conducted a lot of exercises. She did not consume any kind of a food, etc., to reduce the weight and to meet the 50 kg category. Now on Wednesday morning, she has gone, and please understand the technicality here. On the first day of the competition, you will be given 30 minutes. You will be given 30 minutes. As many times you can get onto the scale, that is a weighing machine, as many times you want to get onto it, you can get onto it, as long as you do not meet that particular weight criteria. But on the second day, 15 minutes are provided. On second day, 15 minutes are provided. And it is stated that within that particular 15 minutes, when the weighing was conducted, when the weight checking was done, the machines read 50.1 kgs. 50.1 kgs, that is 100 grams above and over the cutoff weight of 50 kgs. Despite trying the weight multiple times within the time duration of 15 minutes, the machines have not changed. Machines have not changed the weightage, and that is the precise reason the authority, United World Wrestling has disqualified the sports person in the question here, that is Vinesh Phoghat. So all of you able to understand the system now, right? So first day, second day, both the days you will have to check the weight. On the second day, it is just 100 grams over and above the cutoff weight of 50 kgs. Now, is it the same case in all the games? Please understand, generally in case of Olympics, the conditions are very strict. I'll repeat the statement. In case of Olympics, the conditions are very, very strict. Whereas in other games, certain relaxation is provided. The reason being, in some of the games, relaxation up to 2 kgs is generally provided. The reason which has been cited is that these sports person put their body through a lot of rigorous exercise, right? Put the body through a lot of difficulties. So when it is, right, the time of weighing of this, let's say the weight of the people or the sports person, if they are not able to meet that particular cutoff weight or the threshold weight, certain relaxation should be provided. In fact, this has been one of the demands after this news was reported. In addition to this, it is stated that Vinesh Phoghat has basically appealed at one institution, that is Court of Arbitration for Sports, CAS. Court of Arbitration for Sports is basically an independent organization, not a part of any federation or any body. It is an independent organization which generally deals with sports disputes. Now, what will be the outcome of this? Generally, the experts are saying nothing will change as of now, because the rules which have been provided, these are very clear. If you are not able to meet that weight criteria, nothing can change. Now this will stand, that is the disqualification will stand. Right? So this is basically the summation of the very heartbreaking news regarding Vinesh Phoghat's disqualification. Now what can be the way forward? Can we do something in regards to all of this? Can we suggest something? Many experts have pointed out that one, let's say threshold exemption should be provided. That is, if they are not able to meet the 50 kg criteria, you can extend it by 1 or 2 kgs. That is one recommendation which has been provided. Second recommendation which has been provided is, you have divided these games into 2 days. That is, for wrestling, instead of 1 day, you have divided this into 2 days. Many of these wrestlers, and if you're wondering, sir, why do they even have this particular habit of reducing or cutting the weight just before the games? Reason is, generally with a higher weight, if you have a very good body mass of the weight, it is an advantage for you. And that's the reason generally these, let's say the sports person will maintain certain weight and undergo cutting just before couple of days before the competition. And immediately after the competition is over, again they will resume the consumption of their food habits and they will regain the weight very easily. So the advantage is basically let's say, advantage is I need to ensure that when the weighing is done, I will hit the number. After that, within a day itself, I can gain the weight. Within let's say a couple of hours, I can eat and I can gain the weight. And that will act in my advantage. That is the reason these kind of, let's say, practices are followed by sports persons. Now, what is the recommendation here? One, you can provide certain relaxation, let's say plus 2 kgs. Or else, because you have divided this into 2 parts or 2-day event, you can have a weigh-in only on the first day, right? Provide an exemption on the second day. That is also one more recommendation which has been provided. Or if you basically insist that you want to weigh in on both the days, for first day keep it 50, For second day, allow certain exemption, let's say 51 or 52 kgs. So these are some of the things that are being discussed in the context of this news event. Now, second point I want to discuss, this will come again in the discussion, is the boxing match which happened last week, which has led to a lot of discussion. That is basically one boxer, Algeria's Imane Khelif, right, had a fight with Italy's Angela Carini, and this boxing match ended in just 46 seconds. The boxing match ended just in 46 seconds. And that has led to a lot of discussion regarding who should be allowed into Olympics, that is specifically into the male category as well as the female or the women category. The discussion is very simple here. The argument in case of this boxing match, or the criticism which was levied against International Olympic Committee was that they've allowed, I repeat, they've allowed a biological man. I hope you understand. The criticism was that they've allowed a biological man to compete in the women's category. And if you are following the Olympics games now, it is guaranteed that this sports person is guaranteed one medal. Which medal you have to wait and see, but guaranteed a medal in the ongoing Olympics. Now, what is the issue all about? Please understand the concept behind it. Don't enter into rest of the discussion. What is the concept? Generally, whenever you talk about a male as well as a female, the difference is basically in the form of chromosomes. And if you ask me, sir, what is a chromosome? All of us are made up of cells. In the cell, there is a component called as a DNA. And it is this DNA which parents generally, right, basically transfer to their children. And this DNA will be, right, basically when the child is born or before the child is born, basically this DNA will get converted into 23 pairs of chromosomes. That is basically 46 chromosomes are there. But within these 23 pairs, focus on one set here, 22 pairs plus X and X chromosome in case of a female, and 22 pairs plus XY chromosome in case of a male. And because of this particular chromosome Y, generally you will see either, right, the child which is born is either a male or female. That is, if the child will get this Y chromosome from the father, I repeat, if the child will get this Y chromosome from the father, the sex will be male. If it is X from mother as well as X from father, it will be, right, basically a female child or a girl child. Now, what is the importance of it? Importance is this Y chromosome. Within the Y chromosome, there is a gene. Right? On the Y chromosome, there is a particular gene, SRY gene. And this particular SRY gene is responsible for production of testosterone. This is responsible for production of testosterone. And please understand, many studies have been conducted which connect performance of the male athletes to the presence of testosterone. The bulkiness or the muscle mass, etc., right, all of this is connected to the testosterone itself. And this is the precise reason why in the modern Olympics, the games have been divided separately for the male as well as the female, that is, the athletes to compete in. And what is the concern, what is the issue here? Earlier it is stated, International Boxing Association, IBA. IBA conducted a test on these two athletes. That is one, the Algeria's Imane Khelif, and the other boxer is from Chinese Taipei. The name of the boxer is Lin Yu Ting. Lin Yu Ting. In the year 2023, right, a test was conducted. And based on, that is a gender test, based on that particular test, International Boxing Association had disqualified both of these athletes. But in the year 2024, understand the story now. In 2024, in the Olympics Games, the International Olympics Committee has de-recognized IBA. It doesn't recognize IBA now. It has its own system using which they will allow these athletes to compete either as male athletes as well as female athletes. And according to the rules of IOC now, according to the rules of IOC, They have not conducted any gender revealing test or any kind of a test. What they have stated is, if you are registered as a female, if your passport says you are a female, if you have competed in the earlier competitions as a female, we will simply allow you to compete as a female. And this has led to a lot of controversy regarding this particular fight. And this is basically the discussion. Do not enter into the controversy about the fight. You focus on the concept associated with this. In addition to this, please remember a technical term now. There is a type of a disease that is associated with the chromosomes here. The name of the disease is disorder of sex development. Disorder of sex development, right? A DSD, disorder of sex development. And in the context of disorder of sex development itself, that is used to basically bar these kind of athletes to compete in certain competitions, and this has been used by various organizations to rule out sports persons from competing in these organizations. But this is there in the discussion. Please be very careful. Done. So these are the two things regarding Olympics which are there in the current affairs. Be aware of these concepts. Now let me go to the next article. What is N-carry trade? Why it is unwinding right now? What is this concept of N-carry trade? Let's start with the basics here. Point number one, there is a term called as carry trade. There is something called as carry trade. What do you mean by carry trade? Let's say you are an investor and you are not investing only in India. You want to invest in USA, you will invest in UK, Germany, Japan, Korea, etc. That is, in a nutshell, you are an investor across the global markets, not related to or not limited to only one market. Now, when you are investing across the global market, what you will do is, you will find out that there are certain countries or markets which are offering loan to you at very less rate of interest, ROI. ROI means rate of interest. So there are certain countries where you can borrow at very low rate of interest. And there are certain other countries which are offering higher returns on your investment. Your returns on the investment is very, very high. Now you will ask me, sir, how is that possible? How is that one country is offering less rate of interest, other country is offering more rate of interest? My dear, the interest rates that are prevailing in individual countries are determined by the policies of the central bankers. For example, in case of USA, interest rates, that is the federal funds rate in USA has been at an elevated level. India, the repo rate has been kept elevated at 6.5% for more than 1 year now. So there are certain countries where the interest rates are very, very high. And mind you, the interest rate that is determined by the central banker will also influence the market prices of instruments, will also influence yield rates on the instruments which are present in the market. Now come to the point number two. I said there are certain countries which will offer loans at a very, very less rate of interest. The best example for this is Japan. The best example for this is Japan. For more than 2 decades now, the central banker of Japan has kept interest rates at very, very low level. How low? For a lot of the years, interest rate was actually negative. The central banker had a negative interest rate. Only for a shorter duration from 2006 to 2008, it was changed. And post 2011, it was again changed. But very recently, very recently, that is in the year 2024, the central banker of Japan has shifted from a negative interest rate policy to a positive interest rate policy. That is essentially from minus 0.1%, it was increased to 0.1%. And very recently, it was further increased to 0.25%. Interest rates have been increased by the Japanese central bank. Now look at the important point here. In case of other countries, let's say the interest rates prevailing is around 5%, which means your investment will give you 5% rate of interest. And on the other side, here is a country where the interest rate is 0%, minus 0.1%, etc. Which means you can borrow from the country, that is Japan, go to the Japan, borrow from the market in Japan, that is in the form of yen. Now take this yen, move to USA, take this yen to USA, convert the yen into USA dollars and invest in the USA market and earn, let's say, 5% rate of interest. So all of you able to understand the system here? Borrow from one country, again it could be yen, it could be any other country, but the most favorite was yen for a simple reason. For many decades now, the interest rate by the Central Bank of Japan has been in negative territory. That was the reason why a lot of these foreign investors were borrowing from the Japanese market. So they borrowed in the yen, took it to USA, converted that into dollar, invested in USA, earned huge amount of rate of interest, and whenever the repayment was supposed to be done, they did it again in the form of yen. This is basically called as a carry trade, but because the currency in which you are borrowing is yen, this is called as yen carry trade. Is it okay? Because the currency in which you are borrowing is yen, this is referred to as yen carry trade. Now, because of this kind of a, let's say, facility, this kind of a arbitrage option available, lot of borrowing has happened from the Japanese market. Now, what is the issue? Why this is said to be one of the reasons why the markets crashed a couple of days ago? The reason is very simple. In case of Japan, like I said, the central banker very recently has increased the interest rate from 0.1% to minus 0.1% to 0.25%. For many of you, this might not be a very large hike. You will simply say, sir, from minus 0.1 it has increased to 0.25. This is not a very large hike. RBI keeps on changing repo rate, reverse repo rate every now and then. We have seen by 40 basis points, 25 basis points, etc. But please understand the importance of this event. The bank which used to follow a negative interest rate has suddenly shifted to a positive interest rate and increased the interest rate twice in very quick fashion. I hope you understand. The policy that was followed for more than 2 decades has been given up now. And within a short period of time, interest rates have been increased, right, by 35 basis points. And that's a big thing in the international market. And because the interest rates have been increased, the foreign investors now are concerned about what will the Bank of Japan do in the coming days. Will they further increase the interest rate? If they keep on further increasing the interest rate, don't you think the arbitrage that is available to you, just to make you understand, imagine you're borrowing at 0.1%. Imagine you're borrowing at 0.1%, you are earning at 5%, which means the interest rate differential is 4.9%. So now what if the Central Bank of Japan further increases this from 0.25 to 0.5? What if they further increase it? Point number 1. Point number 2, on the other side, the US's central banker, that is the Federal Reserve, has maintained the Federal Reserve rate at a particular number. And in the month of September, it is expected that there will be a reduction in the federal funds rate to promote investment, to promote recovery. And worried about the recession, there are fears of recession in the USA market now. Worried about the recession, what if the Federal Reserve reduces the federal funds rate, that is the interest rate, by a large margin? If that happens, don't you think, right, from 5%, imagine this will come down to 4%, the difference that you are having, the interest rate differential that you are enjoying now will further go down. Because of these concerns, what has happened is the foreign investors who had borrowed in yen, invested in the USA, have started selling of the instruments. Very simple. Because of these concerns, these investors have started selling these instruments in the market. And this is called as unwinding. Is it okay? This is basically called as unwinding. And because of this kind of a unwinding, the sale of the instruments has increased. And when the sale increases, the supply increases. the market prices automatically will start crashing. And that is exactly what has happened. Again, I hope you understand. In addition to this, there are multiple reasons also which have actually led to crash. But this is one of the predominant reason which actually led to crash of the USA stock market couple of days ago. Done. So this is basically the concept of yen carry trade. Now in association with this concept, I have given a question, MCQ assignment number 8. Consider the following statements regarding carry trade. Under this, the money is borrowed in Japanese yen only. The expansionary monetary policy of USA will promote yen carry trade. Right, is the first statement correct or second statement is correct? Both are correct or both are incorrect? Please do let me know the answer in the comment section. Now, before I go forward to the next article, I was going through the comments which you people have given in yesterday's video. And some of the students stated, sir, what is the right option? Please do let us know what is the right option for the questions that you have provided. So, yesterday's question that I gave you as an assignment, let me give you the key answers to both of them. MCQ assignment number 6, consider the following statements. The World Bank and WTO use the same criteria of GNI per capita income to classify the countries. And if you observe it carefully, the color of the statement has become red. Not white, not yellow, it has become red. Which essentially means start using the color coding now. Statement is wrong. Statement is incorrect. Why? If you look at the World Trade Organization, the classification under the World Trade Organization is mainly a developed country and underdeveloped country. And by the way, USA is a developed country and India is an underdeveloped country or developing country, they'll say. Developing, not underdeveloped, developing country. But the classification of whether you are developing or developed, right, this particular classification under WTO, there is no formula for it. There is no criteria for it. There is a concept of a self-declaration. Self-declaration, meaning the member countries themselves will declare whether they are developed or they are developing country. And that has been one of the bones of contention between India and USA. The former president of USA, Mr. Donald Trump, was opposed to this idea. He argued that how can a country such as India, which has a very high per capita income, China, which has also has a good per capita income, how can you simply say these are developing countries? Because you do not have a criteria to define them, they are basically declaring themselves as a developing and they are enjoying lot of benefits. That was one of the criticism of the former president of USA against this classification. So obviously first statement is wrong. Second statement, India has the highest GNI per capita in Asia. Absolutely no, wrong. If you have a look at this, I have taken the database from the World Bank itself. Singapore has the, let's say per capita income, GNI per capita income of $70,000. India has somewhere around $2,500. So even the second statement is wrong. Right option for this question, that is question number 6, will be option D. Both are incorrect. I gave you one more question. 7th, consider the following statements. India does not have a national law regulating organ transplantation. Wrong statement. Why? While discussing that article, I told you there is one law in India basically named the Transplantation of Human Organs and Tissues Act of 1994. The regulatory bodies, the process that we follow, right, what is the methodology, etc. All of that is covered under this act itself. So first statement is wrong. Second, once the person is deceased, only organs may be transplanted but not any tissue. Please understand, tissue can be transplanted. Best example, cornea. Right, and along with the tissue, even organs can be transplanted. Right, so second statement is also wrong. 3rd of August is celebrated as Indian Organ Donation Day. Yes, this is absolutely correct. Since 2010, every year we celebrate the 3rd of August as Indian Organ Donation Day. Third statement is true. Right option for assignment number 7 will be right option A, only 1. Now let me continue the discussion now. Next article. Government of India is expected, I repeat, expected to introduce a new bill in the ongoing parliamentary session which will amend the Waqf Act. Now, what is the point here? What are the important points you need to understand? Point number one, please understand. As of now, the bill has not been introduced. Yesterday, a document was circulated and it is expected that in today's discussion, in today's session, the bill would be introduced. The point number one, important points, because understand the point here, more than 40 changes have been approved. More than 40 changes have been approved by the cabinet. More than 40. You will not be able to remember all the 40, and all the 40 are not important. What are the important changes which have been announced? First one, from the Waqf Act of 1995, the name of the act will be changed. To be very precise here, the first Waqf Act after independence was introduced back in the year 1954. It has been amended. After that, in 1995, a new act was introduced, and this act was again amended in the year 2013. So, the Waqf Act 1995 will be changed to Unified Waqf Management, Empowerment, Efficiency and Development, right? The Act. Right? This name will be changed. This is the first very important change. Second very important change. Before I tell you the changes, right, listen to me carefully. Many of you will ask me, sir, what do you mean by a Waqf? Waqf basically refers to an asset which is managed. An asset which will be managed. For example, let's say a certain piece of land, certain buildings, hospitals, schools, etc. And argument here is very simple. These assets which are owned by, let's say, Muslim personnel, they can simply write it off to a particular board. We have Waqf boards at the state government. More than 30 boards are there at the central level as well as the state level. More than 30 boards. So, a Muslim person can write off this particular asset, can donate this asset to the Waqf board, and the Waqf board basically will oversee management of this particular asset or a property. Over a period of time, lot of properties have been accumulated or have been given under these particular boards or to these particular boards. As per one estimate, it has one of the highest amount of land under its management, third highest, and the value of the land that is under the Waqf board is said to be more than 1.2 lakh crore rupees. These are not the point of contention. The point of contention has been that generally whenever a Waqf board is there, and if they feel that this particular, or if they come to a decision that this asset, this property belongs to them, then they can simply claim the ownership of this. And the part that is a concerning part here is, if you are the person who is going to lose the land, if you are going to be a person who is going to lose the land, there is no way you can approach the judiciary. Because under the act, under this particular act, whenever a land is claimed by the Waqf board, you can basically approach the Waqf board itself. They will have a tribunal and they will decide whether the land belongs to you or belongs to them. And in the recent past, there have been various instances. Again, illegal done or legally done, you don't worry. There have been particular instances in the past where many villages, where particular pieces of land have been claimed to be under the ownership or under the management of Waqf board, and this has led to a lot of dispute. And this is not the only concern. The other concern is there is no representation of certain sections of the Muslims in these boards. By the way, please understand, under the Waqf Act, we have a council, Waqf council at the central government level, right? A council is set up, a statutory body which has been set up. There, the head or the chairperson is basically the minister for, right, let's say minorities. There is a representation in the sense, along with the minister, the council will have not more than 20 members. And this council that I am talking about, the Central Waqf Council, will basically ensure that the provisions of the Act of 1995 and let's say the provisions of the amended Act of 2013 will be followed in the state, in the union territories, it will give advice to the central government, etc. But the concern has been that the boards which are set up at the state level, there is no representation of women. There is no representation of certain minorities within, let's say, Muslim community. And there have been certain instances where the land that is owned by the government has been claimed by the board, and this has actually led to lot of, let's say, the cases, lot of filing of the cases or disputes between the government as well as the boards. In order to address all of these issues, now Government of India says, let me make certain changes to the Act of 1995. Let me make certain changes to the Act. What are the changes proposed? Like earlier mentioned, more than 40 changes have been proposed. Point number 1. Point number 2, this is yet to be introduced in the Parliament. And I hope you understand this. These kind of changes will not happen very soon, in the sense it will take a lot of time, and it is expected to take a lot of time. Meaning, these bills can be referred to standing committees, and standing committees will review the bill. The government is expected to take the viewpoint of different sections of the society who will be affected by the bill provisions, etc. It is expected to take certain time. And point number 2, the Government of India is thinking, again you will have to wait and see today what will happen. It is thinking of introducing this bill in Rajya Sabha as opposed to Lok Sabha. Reason being, they want to test the numbers or the strength or the support for these kind of bills in Rajya Sabha. And second point is, once you introduce the bill in Rajya Sabha is a permanent body, unlike Lok Sabha, where there is elections, a dissolution, etc. Now, what are the important changes announced? First one, right, the name will be changed. The name will be changed. Second one, there will be representation of women now. There will be representation of women on these boards, right? Women will be represented. Third very important change, in the council, now there will be representation of 3 members or 3 ministers. 2 from the Lok Sabha, 2 from Lok Sabha and 1 from Rajya Sabha. And the most important change which has been proposed is, whenever a land will be claimed by the board, now the decision regarding this will not be left with the tribunal by the board itself. Rather, the district collector will basically take over this particular dispute. In the sense, the district collector will look at it, they will look at all the documents, and the district collector will rule whether this particular land will belong to the government or will belong to, right, the Waqf board. This is a very important change, very important change. And please understand, there are certain concerns or the criticism which has already been raised regarding, right, let's say the proposals which have been provided. For example, what if the district collector is a biased person? Again, right, a concern which has been raised, right? So, what about the other changes? The fifth very important change which has been proposed is, whatever is land owned by the boards now, whatever land they are owning, will create a database for this. The reason for this particular kind of a database is that there have been various instances where there has been a misuse of the property that has been given or that has been kept under the Waqf board. Misuse, right? There has been abuses, right, in the sense of, let's say, making undue gains by transferring these assets for, let's say, commercial purposes, etc., etc. In addition to this, one more very important change that has been proposed as of now, which is there in the, right, the circulation. One more very important change is, now the government will decide for what purposes the gains that the board will do. That is, let's say a land is there or let's say an asset is there, they will make certain money out of it. For what purposes the gains can be utilized, that will be decided by the government now. So these are some of the very important changes that have been proposed. Wait and see what will happen to this kind of a proposal, whether it will go through the Rajya Sabha or from Lok Sabha, any recommendations which will be provided, because already it has created a lot of discussion. Certain sections or let's say representatives of Muslim community are opposed to this. Certain sections are in favor of this, right? So there are a lot of points, counterpoints, etc., which are being thrown at this particular proposal. The government is yet to introduce the bill. It is expected to introduce in the parliament today. Now, related to this, I have given a question. Consider the following statements. MCQ number, assignment number 9. The Waqf Council is a statutory body. The chairperson of the Waqf Council is the President of India. It monitors the implementation of the provisions of 2013 Act in the states as well as union territories. 3 statements are there. How many of the 3 statements are correct? What is the right answer? Do let me know in the comment section. Let me go forward. Next article. This article was present in yesterday's newspaper. Many of the learners have sent this photo to me and asked me what is the importance of this article. Second, in today's newspaper article, Lok Sabha passes finance bill, amends provision in LTCG tax. We have discussed this yesterday. No point in discussing same thing. But I am more interested in the last column here. More interested in what is being discussed in the last column. The last column talks about insurance. That is a GST on insurance. What is the issue all about? Right, let me explain this. Point number 1. Earlier, whenever the insurance services were provided, the service tax of 15% was applicable. Is it okay? The service tax of 15% was applicable. Now, after the introduction of goods and services tax from 2017, this insurance as a product, that is a service, was included under the GST, and as a result of this, now the GST rate that was applicable was increased from 15% service tax to 18% under GST. It was increased to 18%. Now, as a result of this, obviously, the prices of the products, that is the insurance products that I will be purchasing, the prices of the products will be higher. And that is what exactly has happened. And again, please understand, this is not the only reason which has led to higher cost of the insurance products. In addition to this, in the last 1 year, the inflation in healthcare sector also has been higher. Healthcare inflation has entered into a double-digit number. I hope you understand, into a double-digit number. Whereas the headline inflation is somewhere around 5%. So there are multiple factors together, they have contributed to higher cost of healthcare services. And an insurance company which will provide you healthcare insurance, they will have to pay up more money for the hospital now because you have claimed insurance. Now the insurance companies have looked at the GST, higher cost of healthcare services, etc. They also have increased the price of the premium. Very simple. They also have increased the price of the premium. In the last couple of months, these were very, very common headlines in business related newspapers. Now, last month, all of the discussion regarding the insurance GST started last month. That is somewhere around 27th and 28th, Mr. Nitin Gadkari, Minister for Road Transportation, wrote a letter to Finance Minister. And in the letter, Mr. Gadkari stated that there is no need to impose GST on the services such as insurance. It is akin to, it is basically equal to imposing taxes on uncertainties. Hence, government should have a rethink of it and withdraw this particular GST. And when the minister of a ruling party writes a letter against a taxation, obviously this will become a political issue. And that is exactly what happened. The opposition parties also took up this issue. This issue was discussed or raised in both the houses of the parliament. And even yesterday also, Finance Minister has given a clarification as to why the GST of 18% is the right one and why it cannot be changed in the parliament. Basically under the Finance Act. Reason being, point number 1, listen to me carefully. Reason being, the Finance Minister says, before the introduction of GST, the state governments also used to impose a tax on insurance products and earn money. Now with the introduction of GST, instead of 15, we have increased it to 18. But that GST of 18% doesn't go to only central government. State governments will also get a share of it. Correct? States will also get a share of it. Right? So don't you want a share out of it? That is one point which has been raised. Second point, as the opposition staged protest against the GST of 18% on the insurance, Finance Minister stated this GST of 18% cannot be changed in the Finance Act. It cannot be changed in the Finance Act. Why? The decision to take anything regarding the GST, the decision to make on that lies with GST Council. The GST Council should take a decision regarding all of it. So how can you expect the Finance Minister in the Parliament, in the Finance Act, to make changes in the GST? I can't do that. That has to be done by the GST Council, and the states are a part of the GST Council. So these are some of the arguments which have been provided by the Finance Minister regarding the GST on insurance products. Having said so, please understand, you should have a balanced approach always. What is a balanced approach? On one side, Government of India itself says there is a need to increase insurance penetration. And there are no doubts regarding that. We need to increase insurance penetration. In essence, we need to ensure more and more people will get access to insurance products. Reason being, out of the pocket expenditure under healthcare is very, very high in India. Out of the pocket expenditure, meaning when I go for a healthcare, when I get treatment, most of the money that I spend on the treatment will be paid out of my pocket because I do not have insurance coverage. So you need to increase the insurance coverage, point number one. Point number two, Insurance Regulatory Development Authority has introduced a new theme, that is Insurance for All by 2047. I'll repeat, IRDAI has set up a new target of ensuring insurance for all by 2047. Now, if you want to ensure insurance is available to everyone, every Indian citizen, you'll have to ensure that insurance products are cheaper. Because most of the population, the reason why they are not able to get access to insurance is because of the cost of the insurance product. So, if you want to increase the penetration, you will have to reduce the cost. But because of the GST, the premium prices have gone up. So, this is the wholesome discussion regarding the issue of the GST on the insurance products. Okay, let me go to the next article. Supreme Court has posted PMLA judgment review on August 28th. Two articles are there here regarding PMLA. First one is Supreme Court of India stated that the review petitions which have been filed regarding a judgment of 2022, I'll talk about this in a minute, that will be taken up. Hearings will happen again on 28th of August. Second article, Supreme Court of India is unhappy with the conviction rate under PMLA. And this is based on the information that was given by the minister on the floor of the parliament. What is the issue? Let me start with the second one. The PMLA, Prevention of Money Laundering Act. PMLA stands for Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Under PMLA, in the last 10 years, that is between 2014 to 2024, the government itself has given a data, more than 5,000 cases have been filed. Upwards of 5,000 cases have been filed. But out of these particular 5,000 cases, the conviction has been obtained only in 40 cases. The conviction has been obtained only in 40 cases. So the judges in the Supreme Court have raised a concern regarding this. And the Supreme Court justices have stated that the authority, that is Enforcement Directorate, has to change its approach. Rather than being dependent on, let's say, a statement given by one witness, they will have to go for a scientific approach of collection of proof. Most of the times, again, this is what was given by or stated by the justices. Most of the times, a statement of a witness is taken and the whole case will be surrounded or will be basically dependent on the witness statement itself. And the judges are saying, what if the witness will recount the statement? Basically, on the witness stand, the witness says, I was coerced into it, or is not able to withstand the counter questioning by the opposition lawyer. What will you do in that case? So what you need to do is, you need to change the approach, go for scientific methodology of collection of proof. You need to change the approach so that, right, basically the conviction will start going upwards. Second article, Supreme Court has agreed to take up or continue hearing regarding its earlier judgment in 2022. Now, what is this earlier judgment? Listen to me carefully. Under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, there is one section, Section 45. There is one section, Section 45. And the Section 45 states that if there is anybody who is arrested under the PMLA, the court should not provide a bail to the person. The accused should not be provided bail. Because please understand the logic here. Generally, the courts are in favor of providing bail, granting bail. Bail is a norm. Supreme Court of India states bail is a norm. But under PMLA, the Section 45 says, except in certain cases, certain exceptions are provided. Except in these cases, bail should not be provided. Bail should not be provided. First one. Second one, the public prosecutor should always be heard whenever there is a question of granting a bail. The prosecutor should be heard. Third one, whenever the court will take a decision or a call whether to provide a bail or not, they will have to apply two conditions or twin test. And this is basically the crux of the discussion. The court or the judges will have to apply a twin test or two conditions. What are the two conditions? First one, are there any reasonable grounds to believe that the accused is not guilty? Right? Is the court believing that, or is there any ground that, right, this accused person is not guilty? If there is no ground for the court, then it can simply deny bail. Second, much more, right, onerous, the accused is not likely to commit any offense while on bail. So the judge has to look at these two conditions, apply these two conditions, and based on that, decide whether the bail should be provided or not. Now, these two conditions are very, very stringent, very onerous. Onerous means it will put lot of burden on the accused to basically prove himself or herself that they are not going to commit any kind of, let's say, the offense after they are released on bail. Right? So, this is very difficult to establish. And that's the reason these conditions or these kind of provisions under PMLA were, right, basically appealed against. A petition was filed. Supreme Court of India, in the year 2017, a two-judge bench, Nikesh Tarachand Shah versus Union of India. Under this particular case, a two-judge bench looked at certain provisions or these kind of provisions under PMLA, and Supreme Court said these are very strict, very onerous conditions, and these are unconstitutional. I'll repeat, these are unconstitutional. Right? So, these kind of provisions were struck down by Supreme Court of India. By the way, please understand the next point as well. It is not that only under PMLA such provisions opposing bail are provided. There is a Drugs and Cosmetics Act. There is a Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. In many of these kinds of pieces of legislation, such provisions which will withhold bail, which will basically ask the court to withhold bail, are present. So, come back to the discussion. In 2017, Supreme Court of India deemed these provisions as unconstitutional under PMLA and struck them down. Government of India, in the Finance Act of 2018, that is next year, in the Finance Act of 2018, reintroduced the provisions under PMLA, and these provisions were again in force. Now, against the reintroduction, again there was a petition filed. Supreme Court of India, now a three-judge bench, took up the appeal, took up the petitions. And in Vijay Madan Lal Chaudhary versus Union of India 2022, the three-judge bench favored Government of India. The argument of Government of India was, the people who are accused of money laundering usually are very rich, very influential, and these, right, let's say schemes that they create pose a threat to the system, to the integrity of economy, to the integrity of India. And this argument was upheld by the 3-judge bench of Supreme Court, which basically ruled over the earlier judgment of 2017. And against this particular judgment of 2022, multiple petitions have been filed in the Supreme Court. And the article basically talks about the same thing. The judges are now saying, the Supreme Court justices are saying, they will hear appeals against the order of 2022 or the judgment of 22 from August 28th. They will take up the review from August 28th. Right? So this is basically what has been provided in the article regarding PMLA. Now let me go to the next article. NSE, National Stock Exchange, files a fresh plea to settle TAP case. What is this TAP? TAP basically stands for Trading Access Point. Trading Access Point. Now what is this concept of a trading access point? There are two important concepts you need to understand. One is a TAP, second one is co-location. And all of the discussion is because of co-location scam itself. What is this TAP and what is this co-location? Listen to me carefully. There are stock exchanges. We have Bombay Stock Exchange. We have National Stock Exchange. In the stock exchanges, certain area will be identified, certain region, area will be identified, and this region which is very nearer to where the servers are established. I repeat, this area which is identified where the traders will be allowed to set up their system and place the order, this area which is very close by to the place where the servers are set up is called as a co-location. It is referred to as co-location. Under the concept of co-location, which has been introduced by both NSE and BSE, this region would be allowed, right, for the traders or let's say certain investors. They can place their system and start placing the orders. And what is the advantage of it? Advantage is very simple. Because you are very close by to the servers, the orders that you can place will be very fast. They use a technical term, latency. Latency basically is the difference in the timing. So the latency is expected to be reduced by a huge percentage in terms of number. The latency will be reduced from 400 microseconds to 100 microseconds. For you, the microseconds may not be very high, but in the stock market, microseconds will make a huge difference whether your order is accepted or somebody will take away the order from you. So the latency was reduced and the order placement acceptance was very, very fast. But with introduction of a system, software, basically a TAP type of a software or a system that was introduced from 2013, associated with co-location itself, there was a scam. What was a scam? Lot of information was provided to the traders regarding which of the servers will open first, where the, right, let's say information is available, etc. And because of all of this, this investigation that was conducted called this as co-location scam. Right? Basically, they call this as co-location scam, where the systems were manipulated. Lot of corruption also took place. Kickbacks were provided. Systems were abused. Right? And that is the precise reason. After the investigation, SEBI asked NSE to conduct inquiry and impose penalties on the people who were responsible. NSE says they have conducted the inquiry and they have identified certain people who are responsible, but NSE says the settlement which has been arrived at, in that settlement, the parties which have been accused of, they are not taking any kind of liability, but they are willing to pay monetary, right, penalties. They are willing to pay the penalties, but they will not take the burden of the accusation. Right, so that was basically the settlement that was arrived at, which was given to SEBI. SEBI said we will not accept it. It was basically rejected. Right, the SEBI said we will reject it. Please reconduct the negotiations and arrive at revised settlement terms. Now it is said that NSE conducted the settlement again. Again the documents were given to the SEBI, and SEBI has rejected this again. Right, so that is basically what has been provided in the article regarding NSE filing fresh plea to settle the TAP case. Done. So these are certain important concepts. Be very careful. Next, just factual information. Chandrayaan 3 team ex-IISc director to win top science awards. The government of India yesterday has announced 33 Rashtriya Vigyan Puraskar. What is this Rashtriya Vigyan Puraskar? Listen to the history first. Back in the year 2022, Government of India changed its policy. What was the policy? Before that, more than 300 awards were given for different scientists, innovators in India. More than 300 awards. The Government of India looked at the system and said, let's revamp the whole system. Let's restructure the whole system. Rather than giving more than 300 awards, let's limit the number of awards to just 56. And these 56 awards basically are referred to as Rashtriya Vigyan Puraskar. So 56 will be, out of that 3 will be Vigyan Ratnas. Up to 3 people can be provided with Vigyan Ratnas, that is for their lifetime achievements and contributions in different fields of science. Vigyan Shri, another 25 will be identified, up to 25, right? So another 25 would be identified and they would be awarded with Vigyan Shri, right, based on their distinguishing contribution again in the fields of science. Another, right, have a look at this, another 25 who will be identified or awarded as Vigyan Yuva Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Award. For 25 youth below the age of 45 years will be awarding with this kind of, let's say, Vigyan Yuva. And the remaining 3 will be given for teams like this, Vigyan Team Awards, to recognize a team of 3 or more scientists, researchers or innovators who have made exceptional contribution working in a team. So from more than 300, the system was changed to just 56, up to 56 awards. And for the first time, after the system was revamped, for the first time, the announcement for the awards has been done now, right? And certain people, right, certain, let's say for example, ex-IISc director has won the highest award, and the team that is involved in the Chandrayaan 3, the team that is involved in the Chandrayaan 3 mission also has been given the award under Vigyan team. But much more important, please understand, earlier when the awards were provided, there was certain monetary prize also given. For example, under Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Award, which was provided by CSIR, certain monetary prize was also provided. 5 lakh rupees was provided. And if the person continues to work under Government of India till the month or till the end of his tenure with the government, monthly additional 15,000 rupees was given in the form of prize money. Government of India has discontinued all of it. Basically, under these types of awards now, that is Rashtriya Vigyan Puraskar, no monetary prize is allocated. No prize money is allocated. It is basically a certificate with an award. Right, so for the first time, the awards have been announced. Please be careful. Next, updates regarding Bangladesh crisis. Certain important points. That's it. Because for the last couple of days, I'm pretty sure you have been reading, hearing about Bangladesh. Some of you would already be fed up with the news regarding Bangladesh. Just updates. For point number 1, Mohammad Yunus is supposed to take the oath today as a caretaker Prime Minister. And he has already requested for all the people to remain calm, and the other political party, Bangladesh National Party BNP, has called for quick elections so that a democratically elected government can be installed and the situation can be normalized. That's the first one. Second, there is a discussion regarding what will happen to the relations between India and Bangladesh with the interim government. Many experts are saying that there may not be any change in the, let's say, the kind of relations that we have between India and Bangladesh. Reason being, India and Bangladesh both are very important partners. Both do contribute to the growth and development of each other. That's the reason many experts are saying there may not be any change between the India-Bangladesh trade relations. Having said so, again, not just trade, overall, right, relations. Having said so, very recently when the interview of Mr. Mohammad Yunus was conducted, there is one statement that was given by him. Muhammad Yunus basically stated that he is upset, right? He is upset that government of India, when asked about the let's say the protest in Bangladesh, answered that Bangladesh protests are an internal matters. It is an internal matter. The reason which he cites is that both are very closely related. And he said, if there is a fire in your brother's house, will you keep quiet? Of course no. Will you not run and try to douse the fire, put off the fire? So when there is so much of, let's say, protest, right, let's say killing of the people, loss of lives, etc., that is happening in your neighboring country, how can you simply say it's an internal issue? Right? That was one point of contention, but most of the experts are saying government of India needs to come out and say they recognize the new government that is going to be installed in Bangladesh. Right? So if that kind of a validation is provided, the situations might become normal much sooner. Third very important article, lorries idle, trade struggles as uncertainty looms on India-Bangladesh border. A very interesting fact based on which question can be asked, and I want this to be as an assignment for you. Please do let me know how many states in India. I repeat, this is assignment number 3 to you for today's class. How many states in India share a border with Bangladesh? And within that, which state shares the highest length of border with Bangladesh? Because I know for a fact that most of you would have already memorized the length of the border that we share with Bangladesh. But now the question can be, how many states share, names of the states, and which state shares the highest length of the border and the lowest length of the border. Be very, very careful. Third article talks about one of the land ports here. I would simply say, memorize this. One of the land ports here, Petropol. This particular Petropol is a land border, that is a port which is connecting the border, or which is connecting the two countries, and this particular port, which is a land port, accounts for around 30% of the total trade that is conducted between India and Bangladesh. And that's the importance of this particular Petropol. Please be very careful. Questions can be asked on the concept or the names of Petropol. So these are certain updates regarding what is happening in Bangladesh. So this is all the articles that I wanted to discuss with you people in today's Hindu News Analysis. I've covered articles from different, let's say, sections of the GS paper, from polity to economy to science and technology, international relations. Reason is, we want to make this initiative as a one-stop destination for all of your current affairs requirements. If you like these initiatives, do hit the like button, and if you're yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel, kindly do it now. Thank you. Have a great day.